Hello friends, my name is Sangeeta Shroff and I'm here to talk on a topic, what ails the Indian economy? I'm an economist by profession and observe that India as an economy is bubbling with hope and aspirations. There are, however, some stumbling blocks. I therefore decided to look at some data which would reveal the pain points of the Indian economy, as well as which will help me to find a solution and therefore help to transform the economy. India, with a burgeoning population of 1.2 billion, is the second most populous country in the world and set to soon surpass China, which has the highest share. This alarming figure, which is a great cause of concern and poses major threats, has some positive trends too. Let us look at the age composition of India's population. When we look at the age composition, we find that by and large, India is a young country. What are the merits of the age composition of India's population? India has 41.1% of the population in the working age group, which brings about a low dependency ratio. This means that India has a large number of workforce which is young and less number of people who are elderly. Therefore, we have more people to support less number of old persons. This is in contrast to developed countries which are characterized by low fertility and high life expectancy, which leads to high dependency rate as population in the workforce is low, while there are more elderly persons. However, in India, 40.4% of the population is in 5 to 24 years age group and hence in the educational age group. This age group comprises of 498 million persons, which can be a resource only if converted to human capital, or else it remains a curse. When we look at the literacy rates in India, since independence, from the first census, which was in 1951, across every census, we find that the figures are encouraging. Across every decade, there is an increase in the literacy rate. The latest census of 2011 shows that the literacy rate for male and female is 74.04%, but that of female is lower than that of males. The literacy rate in India is lower than the world average of 86.3%. A state-wise comparison shows that states have achieved different levels of literacy, and the same is the case with respect to female and male. It can be, however, observed that Kerala has a literacy rate of 94%, which is highest in the country, while Bihar has a rate of 61.8%, which is lowest in the country. The same applies with respect to male and female rates. When we look at per capita income, that of Kerala is 4.85 times that of Bihar. However, the unemployment rate in Kerala is higher at 7.8% as compared to Bihar, which is 6.6%. This indicates that high level of literacy does not easily give access to labor markets, whereas states having low level of literacy may also have lower level of unemployment. In other words, low levels of literacy and poverty level in the state pushes their workforce to accept low-paying jobs. Hence, both employment and quality of employment are important issues which can be addressed through a robust education sector and skill development. When we look at the status of employment across all the three major sectors of the economy, the primary sector, which is agriculture, the secondary sector, which is industry, and the tertiary sector, which is the service sector, we find that the contribution to the gross domestic product in agriculture is declining over the years. The other notable feature is that the contribution of agriculture to gross domestic product is declining rapidly and constitutes only 15.11% of GDP. But the sector continues to be the dominant source of employment in India. This clearly speaks of low productivity in the agricultural sector. The workforce that has moved out of agriculture has mostly moved to the service sector, which contributes 53.77% to GDP. The jobs in this sector are mostly casual in nature and in the unorganized sector. The industrial sector has been rather slow in absorbing labor, and till date, about 23.79% workforce are employed in this sector, contributing to 31.12% of gross domestic product. Hence, our Honorable Prime Minister says that we need measures like Make in India and Atmanirbhar Bharat, because such schemes, such measures will help to generate employment in the industrial sector, and our workforce will get suitable employment and skill development. The status of education in India shows that there are presently about 993 universities, out of which 35% are in the private sector. The gross enrollment ratio in higher education is 25.8%, considering the age group 18 to 23 years, which is below the global average of 36.79%. There are a number of factors responsible for low enrollment of higher education, out of which lack of finances is perhaps the most important. The current status of employability in India is 47.38%. We have now tried to look at the level of unemployability across different fields. We find that our youth is employed as in various different fields. Our youth has degree in various fields such as MBA, BTech, Bachelor of Arts, Bachelor of Commerce, and various other fields. The youth have a degree, but they are not having the adequate skills to get employment. Hence, the level of unemployability is fairly large. What are the major issues? The major issues are that there is skill mismatch in India, as there is disconnect from the requirements of industry and availability of human capital. Due to skill mismatch, those who are highly educated apply for jobs which require a lower educational level. The periodic labor force survey of 2018-19 has revealed anxiety and panic in the job market. Youth unemployment in the age group 15 to 29 years is 17.3%. There is starvation for jobs in the public sector, which can be observed from the number of applicants as compared to number of vacancies in any recruitment. For example, when the Railway Recruitment Board invited online applications for the post of junior engineer, while there were 13,847 vacancies, the number of applicants was a mind-boggling figure of 27,802, or 197 times the number of vacancies. Again, in the case of requirement of level 1 and level 2 workers in railways, the applicants were 311 times the number of vacant positions. This clearly reveals the sorry state of affairs among job seekers, especially for the organized public sector. There is a major issue with respect to skill mismatch. With the changing nature of the economy, globalization, technology, and demography will all play a major role in impacting the labor market. The nature of work now requires a different set of skills. There is disconnect between formal education and the requirements of industry or service sector. The missing link is skill development, which is pertinent on both the demand as well as supply side. With respect to medical colleges, there is huge shortage. The World Health Organization prescribes 1 government doctor for 1,000 people. However, the country is nowhere near this ratio. And the same is with respect to paramedics. The COVID-19 pandemic has seen the dire need for health infrastructure, which needs to be addressed on a war footing. When we compare rural and urban differences with respect to availability of amenities, we find that there is a huge contrast. The infant mortality rate in rural areas is 38 per 1,000 live births, while in urban areas, it is lower at 23 per live births. The households using improved sanitation facilities is 36.7%, but much larger at 70.3% in urban areas. The households using clean fuel is as low as 24% in rural areas, whereas 80.6% in urban areas. The piped water in dwellings is 18% in rural areas, while it is 52% in urban areas. The per capita income in rural areas is less than half of urban areas, and literacy rates are also 20% lower. To transform the Indian economy, we need to make the rural sector an engine of growth. The former president, Honorable Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, visualized PURA, Pura. What does it mean? What does it stand for? He refers to provision of urban amenities to rural areas. Honorable former president has been talking about Pura since the last 15 to 20 years. When this really happens, if rural infrastructure such as roads, electricity, sanitation, healthcare, internet, etc. is strengthened, then unemployment can be generated in rural areas and distress migration to urban areas will be curbed. The digital divide is a major problem which, when bridged, can certainly serve as a catalyst of growth and transformation for the Indian economy. The digital divide serves as a greater problem when the country is facing a pandemic caused by COVID-19, as a large section of the population is deprived of online education and other facilities. The above issues need to be urgently addressed. India's demographic dividend must capitalize. India must capitalize on the demographic dividend, which can even serve as a human resource to the world. When the rural-urban gap is bridged with social and physical infrastructure in place, there will be a multiplier impact as employment will be generated, necessary skill will be created, and the economy will be transformed. Now, my dear friends, I have talked about what ails the Indian economy. I have brought out the various problems facing the country and what needs to be done. But this, however, does not mean that the government is complacent. The government is not at all complacent. The government is aware of the policy measures that are needed to bridge the gap between the rural and the urban sector, to reduce the digital divide. And of course, it has come out with schemes like Ujjwala Yojana so that more and more persons in the rural area get clean fuel, trying to increase the availability of drinking water and all facilities. So the government is very much aware of all the issues that are needed to transform the economy. The government is taking suitable measures. A large number of policy measures are put in this direction, but we have a long road ahead. However, when this really happens, we will definitely see India, which is full of hope and aspirations, as I keep saying, into a transformed economy. Thank you.